Counting the cost of opera, becoming an opera singer.
Okay, so how did you become an opera singer?
How did I become an opera singer? It was kind of a long journey. I so I changed my degree from, well, I was actually going to be a pre-med and medical tech, and then I changed to accounting. And then while I was in accounting degree, I took a minor in music at Columbia Union College. And as a minor, I would take voice lessons a week, each week. So weekly voice lessons, about an hour each week. I would have a voice lesson, and so I enjoyed some of the music that I enjoyed the music that I was working on, and I learned a bit about other languages and pronouncing different different words, and eventually I was interested in learning other languages like German, Italian, and French because um, I was assigned some arias in those languages, and I had no no experience with any of those, so it was quite a new thing for me. But eventually, I got pretty okay with it, and I decided to further my education. So um, I decided to attend another uh, place. It's called Peabody Institute. It's part of the Johns Hopkins University, but this Peabody Institute is an institution for music. So I was able to, um, with grant money and scholarship, I was able to attend there for like 2 years, and I decided to finish finish out my undergrad in South Carolina because I wanted to experience experience singing opera roles that I didn't. It was seemed a little bit more challenging at at Peabody. Seemed like more people were reserved. It was those roles were reserved for mostly graduate degree students, and I was an undergrad, so I decided to try and see if I could see where I was as far as a soloist. So anyway, but I finished up in South Carolina, and then I went for my master's up in Binghamton. I met a friend while doing um, what is it? Um, um, can't remember what they call it. I worked with a small opera company in Florida called Sarasota Opera in Sarasota, Florida. I was an apprentice in Sarasota, and uh, one of the soloists told me about Binghamton University and Tri Cities Opera, which was part of. which had a co productions, I guess. They had a master's and apprenticeship, or uh, yeah, apprenticeship with Tri Cities Opera. So I went up there to get my master's degree in opera in Binghamton, New York, and through that, um, I was able to experience uh, some good training there in Binghamton, and that's also where I met my wife.
Ah. It
So
isn't Peabody like super prestigious school that
it's a pretty prestigious.
is madly difficult to
Uh,
get in? How did you get in?
yeah, it's pretty prestigious in getting in. Most of their really top graduates. Yeah, there's some really good graduates there, especially instrumentalists. They're really very well known for instrumentalists, and some good singers there too. I think there were about about four or five. I don't know, some pretty well known soloists as well. Yeah.
So whatever qualification they were looking for, you're able to meet when you enter the school.
Excuse me?
So the qualifications for the students that they're looking for, you're able to meet so that you're able to get accepted to the school.
Yes, yes. Um, it's yeah, I guess they liked my voice well enough, and I I had some repertoire that I was able to present that enabled me to be accepted.
Wow.
So
So just
yeah.
pursuing your minor's degree at the undergrad
Mhm.
level equipped you
Yeah,
to be able to
I
enter.
a lot of the repertoire that learned, I use as audition material. So I was able to to pass the auditions for Peabody. I also tried to pass my auditions for the Juilliard, but I guess that was a little bit harder. But I mean, I'm not. I think I was. I think Peabody was a very good fit for me. Actually, it wasn't too far away from where my parents and many of my friends were. So I had a close network, and also many of the friends that I made at Peabody, I still keep in contact with even now.
Oh,
So anyway,
okay. Oh,
mhm.
your your screen is. Can you make it horizontal somehow?
Horizontal.
Oh no, it got turned off all of a sudden.
It got turned.
Your phone is like vibrating.
Oh, someone's trying to call me.
Uh,
Okay, sorry. Hold on. Can you pause that?
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So did you get a voice lesson as a uh minor, um, like a vocal? performance minor student, and that was all you um, did
My
to.
minor was in Columbia Union College, and then my major there was accounting, but I didn't finish it. So, but I enrolled in Peabody as a major, uh, music major, bachelor's, and I transferred after a few years to South Carolina and got my my bachelor's there in music, and then got a master's degree up in Binghamton. And the interesting thing about Binghamton is that the opera company that um, that I apprenticed at was a company that Placido Domingo worked with way decades before when he was starting his career as a tenor, because he was actually a pianist
Ah,
uh, before he became a tenor. He was apprenticing as a accompanist, piano accompanist, and so when he transitioned from like a pianist to singer, baritone, then tenor. He That was one of the regional companies that he he got his start with. So he and other tenors and other singers got their start there at Tri Cities Opera. So um, that's what was interesting, and that's why I wanted to study these these teachers at Tri Cities. So and they had a quite a good reputation with training tenors there. So um, anyway, it was pretty helpful. I don't think they completed all of my training. I think most of my, actually, a lot of my training, I feel, um, was after university in New York. Actually, while I was being in the chorus at New York City Opera, because from there one of my colleagues became also my voice teacher, and I think probably he helped me uh, complete, the rest of my training, like maybe the last 10, 15% of my training. He helped me complete, and I mean, being a musician is always um, uh, something that you keep uh, you can always keep getting better at. Okay, and like singing is always you can always learn something new in singing, and hopefully it will. I mean, hopefully as you learn, it helps further your singing, I guess, abilities. Um, so, I mean, you know, not all information can benefit you, though, but hopefully, as you learn new things and as you add it to your technique or to your, I would say, whatever you learn, you should learn so that will um, fit your way of singing. So that's what I would like to say.
So you started as a minor, and then you did your major, and then you went to graduate school, and then you joined the company, opera company, and then you had a colleague that became your teacher that pretty much helped you complete your musical skill. Am I correct in saying all this?
Yes, yes. And from there, as I was singing with the New York Opera's the New York City Opera, I was mainly in the chorus, but then I was able to get some solo positions with the company, and also I worked with also another company that performed at Carnegie Hall, and I was a soloist with them. So the Opera Orchestra of New York, um, uh, the founder Eve Queller um, auditioned me um, after I had joined New York City Opera, and I um, I auditioned for solo uh, uh, positions with them, and they were able. She was willing to give me solos with their concerts in Carnegie Hall, and then also from that, um, I think. Oh, I also was singing with another group actually before that time, and this one of the one of the I guess instructors in that other group mentioned my name to that person with New York City um, with Opera Orchestra of New York, and that's how I got my foot in the door with them. So so opera world is kind of small. People know a lot of different people, so once you know uh, have kind of a recognition, get some recognition, they're willing to pass your name around and um, get so that you can be heard. And so once I was heard from them, I also got to be heard with other people. There's this another training program that that one of the famous coaches at the Metropolitan Opera. She invited me to do their program that she was running. So eventually, I was hoping that if I had stayed in New York, that I would perhaps sing at the Metropolitan Opera. Um, I don't know if that will be able to happen again, um, but I'm not. It's okay if it doesn't, but I'm not. I'm open to it, and people still sing well up into their 60s and 70s sometimes. So I'm not sure. Who knows? It's could be a possibility. Um, so I know that only recently that a famous tenor Jose Ferreras has recently stopped performing, and I believe he's in his late 70s or early 80s. So anyway, I don't. We'll see.
You got some time.
Huh?
You got some
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So before you became an adult and pursued your minor as a singer, did you do anything, any other training?
No, well, I mean, I think my first voice lessons were right before my senior year at academy at Shenandoah Valley Academy. I took a few lessons in high in let's see, I think it was Virginia Commonwealth University School of Music there. It was kind of a long ride from our small town in Virginia into Richmond, and so I studied a few lessons with this. I can't even remember her name, but I believe she was a soprano, and she taught me a few things, and then I was able to get into the small ensemble for my senior year at Shenandoah Valley Academy. And I also took some voice lessons from a woman up there during academy. So I think I had a weekly lesson as well. But I think most of my serious lessons started. Then I got more serious about it, and I studied with a tenor at Columbia College, and he had won a few competitions when he was a college student in his day. So, and he was quite knowledgeable with tenor arias. So he taught me quite a bit about tenor arias. Although I think what I wish I was more knowledgeable about European languages. I think that's if there's anything that I would encourage a young singer to do is to be more fond and willing to learn and uh, at least be somewhat conversational in European languages and kind
Oh,
of
okay.
get to know the culture of Europe. Since if you are going to be an opera singer, I think that's quite important to find a way to maybe stay a summer or just have some time in those countries that
Oh,
sing that sing opera or where opera originated, like especially in Italy and Germany,
oh.
and some France. So yeah.
Were you surrounded by musically talented people when you're growing up, or your dream to be a singer just jumped out of nowhere when you're a senior in academy?
My I know that my mom took a few voice lessons and my dad enjoyed singing, but I really, I mean, I did take some violin lessons, some piano lessons, but I I also um, played French horn in elementary and middle school. I mean, elementary and high school. I mean, I wasn't really good, but I mean, I enjoyed the sound of the horn, um, but I mean, I didn't really have any like I don't know. I didn't really have high ambitions, but I was surrounded with music, and I guess during my early like ninth grade, 10th grade, I listened to some classical music because there was a classical music that I could hear, listen to that was um, broadcast from Richmond. So I would listen to some whatever their programming was that they played. So I mean, I was it was more casual. I mean, I didn't know exactly what pieces they were playing when they were playing it. So, but yeah, I had I guess an aesthetic appreciation for classical music. Um, but yeah, as I was getting more into it, I would figure out who who these composers were, a little bit about their life and stuff like that. About that. But, yeah,
So I guess you were surrounded by musically talented people. You had access to music and teachers, and
hmm
so you didn't
yeah. It
have.
wasn't really terribly serious until I actually. Oh, I forgot to tell you about this part where so I guess it was I had a serious relationship, kind of a serious girlfriend in my sophomore year, but then we broke up after several months, and then I really I don't know somehow I found that music was really helpful to get through that, and and I did a recital and I did some other things, and by chance I auditioned for the the local opera company. It's a pretty well-known regional opera company, Washington National Opera, and actually, um, like to like for the whole, I guess, the spring season, I wasn't. I was on my own, and I would go every weekend and go standing room and watch watch the opera um, every Sunday afternoon. I would go buy standing room tickets, and one of those performances I watched. I watched uh, um, Placido Domingo do a major opera called Tosca, and he was the main tenor there. And I was able to listen to him sing in the house. So that was perhaps one of the most important things to hear. And heard three or four other operas there that that spring season. And then they were holding auditions, and I auditioned, and I got in for the next following season. So um, in, I performed that winter um, with the Washington National Opera, and yeah, and got into some other training companies and stuff. And this is while I was a minor in music. So, um, so my teacher he was pretty he gave me a pretty good preparation. I mean, I was still quite shaky as technique, but I there were some good things that happened with his training. So he was quite instrumental. And then from there, met other people, met a coach that I coached with as well. And so, yeah, and that kind of gave me the confidence to eventually audition for different music programs. So I auditioned for three music programs. I auditioned for the Catholic Catholic University School of Music, Peabody Peabody Conservatory, and um, and Juilliard, and got into two of them, and I chose Peabody, and so anyway, that's how I progressed.
So you had really important people that significantly contributed to your music career, like your coaches
Hmm.
and teachers. But you didn't
Yeah.
finish Peabody, right?
No, I didn't finish it, but I still have people that I keep in contact with there. So I think I think there are other people that have had some really good. You can find good teachers in many places. So I don't think that just because you don't finish there, it's going to hinder you. Because there's um, I think a lot of practical experience is very necessary to to give you the confidence of being on stage because you're only it's only you that's on stage when you're on stage. So that's the biggest thing. So I was able to, when I even when I was at City Opera, I would perform leading roles in other small venues, and those those experiences help give you the confidence to to go on to bigger stages.
Uh, is there a reason why you didn't finish, or did you have to move on?
Why the biggest reason, I think the biggest reason is I wanted more solo experience,
Uh,
which they were reserving for more
uh,
people that had, they were ahead of me because um, they were master students and I was an undergrad student. So
okay.
they wanted to give the people that needed that for their degree
Okay.
because they need that to in order to graduate those people that are master's degrees they have to have leading leading,
Uh,
leading roles and they weren't going to give that kind of opportunity to me.
okay.
So I mean that's the biggest thing. And
Okay.
if you go to a smaller place you'll get more leading role opportunities. So I mean, it wasn't a matter of it wasn't a matter of graduating from a place. It was a matter of getting solo opportunities.
Okay. I guess that's pretty much the height of a singer.
Huh?
I guess that's
What did you
pretty
say?
much the ultimate height that you want to reach as
Yeah,
a singer. The leading
yeah,
role, soloist, something like that, right?
yes. Leading roles, solos. That's the most thing that That's the most important thing is to be on the boards, they say, the stage boards, the wood, be on the wood and actually doing the things that you. Because Plus, I was a slightly older student because I had studied other things before I was at that point. So um, I kind of wanted to know if I could actually handle doing stage roles, solo stage roles, and so yeah. So eventually, I kind of wanted to see how I could do it. I think the biggest thing is to um, when when you have to be a performer. I think anything that can hinder you, you really have to address, like allergies. That's a big thing. Um, if you're a if you have to rely on your singing, you have to be able to, um, and that's that can be quite tricky. And at that moment, I didn't have the. I think diet plays a really important thing, especially because I didn't know certain things about um, how to keep yourself from being too susceptible to things that can hinder you. So so I noticed when I had changed my diet when I was in Korea that um, I didn't have as much problem with mucus as I had while I was living in the States. So certain things that trigger, um, you know, uh, what respiratory problems were reduced. I wouldn't say totally eliminated, but were reduced as far as changing certain things that I was eating or not eating. So yeah, so that was so I'm kind of looking forward to you know if given the opportunity to do some more singing. Yeah.
So what did you add to your diet and what did you drop?
Well, not as much meat. I mean, took more more whole foods, more vegetarian diet. I mean, I do on occasion eat some meat, but not not to the degree that I would probably eat. I used to eat some sort of meat once a day, but now it's just once every, I don't know, not, it doesn't bother me not to eat meat. So, um, but I mean, one time it used to be like if I wanted to eat something, I would just swing by a fast food joint and pick up a chicken burger or something like that. But yeah, and I don't know, pick up a sugary drink or something like that, or whatever like that. No, that's something that I I try and stay away from. So that those things can quite sugar and dairy and uh, fried fried chicken or something like that. That's kind of quite can be obstacles to try and overcome when you're a singer. So
Wow.
I think, yeah, you have to eat fairly clean to be a singer. And some people are even more, I guess, more adamant about certain things that they eat or don't eat. Yeah.
Wow. I never knew. So most musicians are pretty temperate in their diet and their lifestyles.
Some are. I mean, some people would imbibe. Uh, I mean, after performance, like drinking or something like that. But for the most part, they try to do to. Some people were aware of it and would be willing to be disciplined about it. Um, a lot of there are a lot of singers that can't, drink or can't eat certain things, and they're willing to put up with that. Yeah. Um, there's a thing about also, you know, not eating spicy food. Like I remember trying to sing after eating after eating uh, a Korean potluck, and they serve somewhat spicy kimchi, and it's really not doesn't work. It's quite, yeah, it's quite an obstacle to try
Oh
and sing
wow.
like that.
I never knew that. That's really interesting. So what was the highlight of your music career? What was the most rewarding thing do you remember as a singer?
Mm, what is a highlight? I don't know. I think my highlights are not huge, but just being able to sing with good colleagues. I think really good, genuine, good people. Uh, Up and down. Usually, I've had very good colleagues to work with, and we would bond together and talk on other things outside of music, but also just really people that I could trust. I guess really, that's what I really enjoy, and some, of course, there's some thrilling music, even whether I was in the chorus or even even if I didn't sing the solo role. There's some thrilling choruses that I sang with on stage at a huge theater, New York City Opera, um, and you can hear the orchestra and um, all the other chorus members and soloists all singing at the same time. That's something incredible. Um, so yeah. Um, so at the end of the opera Candide, where we have a big chorus, I was I had to stay. I was singing on an elevated part of the stage, and we would sing this huge chorus at the end, and that was quite amazing to sing that with the whole orchestra and chorus and everyone. So
Wow.
yeah.
That sounds so beautiful. So last question. So why did you not continue as a singer?
Hmm?
Why did you not continue as a singer?
Well, I think it's because I actually I had a solo role that um, actually I was given a role as in this opera that was written by the same person who wrote Wicked, um, Stephen Schwartz, and so. and this was at City Opera, but the kind of music that, the kind of subject matter, I was not really thrilled about. It was about, and my character was a person that was wanting to see a medium to get in contact with his dead dog. It was supposedly a comedic role, but I don't know, this kind of setting was bothering me, and I just decided, I kind of, mm, I had an option to take an early retirement, and I did. So I had sung there for 10 years, and I was eligible to get paid out for an early retirement, and I took it. So I decided to quit at that point. I kind of actually I auditioned really well, but I didn't really want that role. I wanted the other role. I mean, or at least be a cover, considered to be a cover for another role, which was I think it was The Elixir of Love by Donizetti. Someone else did that, and was it that? Maybe it was. I think it was that. Or was it? It's either, it's either, an, it's either Don Pasquale or The Elixir of Love. It was a Donizetti piece, one of the Donizetti operas. And I was really hoping that they would actually consider me for at least a cover or something like that to do that. But they gave me, they cast me as that particular role. So anyway, that's kind of what happened, and I could have refused, but the way that the company was going, they were reducing performances and everything like that, and eventually it actually closed. And I mean, the company supposed someone else bought the name of the company, but it's a totally different company. So, and they restarted it, kind of restarted it, but not to the point of where it was before. So, anyway,
Wow.
yeah.
I was very fascinated by the world of music, and I'm really awed by all the things that you went through. You really worked with really exceptional
Mm,
teachers and
yeah.
at really good like schools and stuff. So thank you so much for
Mm.
sharing it. Pretty much you're
Yeah, I
with the top
mean, so since
musicians.
my son is much older now, and hopefully he'll be able to, you know, um, be eligible for, scholarships and things like that. I'm hoping, that he's not as dependent on for support. I mean, of course, we'll give him emotional support, but like he's getting to be a young man now, so he can be eligible for scholastic um, awards and things like that. So praying that that will actually, doors will open for him, so that and that um, I can actually take, because you know music is hard, a hard profession as far as getting a living wage. So you know um, I need, that's the biggest consideration, is that you know trying to support my family, and the company that I was with, they were reducing their performances, and salary wasn't as big as it had been before. So that was a big, really big consideration.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow, I guess that's the challenge of artists. I mean, whoever
Hmm.
that perform in the
Yeah.
Carnegie Hall or yeah, play music or stuff
Hmm.
like that. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I was very well informed of what happens with
Oh.
musicians and
Hmm.
tell has said about it.
Okay.
So she can make good decisions for her career.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
William. I'll see you
You're
later.
welcome. Okay. Take care.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.